Good morning, welcome to Wednesday, May the 25th. I'm Shane Seeley, and this is the CBC Morning Report. Leading our news this morning, a warning to Barbados and the region: raise awareness and be vigilant. That message is coming from the Caribbean Public Health Agency in light of the monkeypox outbreak, with more cases being detected in more countries across the globe. Close to 100 cases have been reported by the World Health Organization in at least 12 countries where the virus is not endemic. CARPHA issued a watch brief for monkeypox as the agency delivered its COVID-19 situation report that would have happened over the last 48 hours. Executive Director Dr. Joy St. John has confirmed to the Morning Report that CARPHA is working on procuring test kits for this pox virus. Meanwhile, we are hearing that the WHO is actively considering launching a vaccination program for monkeypox to curb the spread of the virus. The majority of cases, well, they have been detected so far in the UK, Spain, and Portugal. Other countries where the cases have been reported, as we'll show you our chart this morning, include Italy, Belgium, France, Sweden, the US, Canada, and Australia. A person presenting with monkeypox, in terms of those symptoms, may show symptoms like headache, an acute fever, swollen lymph nodes, a muscle and body aches, back pain, and profound weakness. Of course, as the details emerge on this developing story, we'll bring them to hand for you here on the Morning Report. And this is just a snapshot of those countries where the cases have been detected. And as monkeypox cases continue to climb in Europe, health officials there are trying to understand the science of this resurgence of the virus and are being advised to prepare for another vaccination campaign. More in this report.
Scientists and health agencies are trying to understand why monkeypox is suddenly spreading more widely than ever before.
It's been well studied in the African region. We've seen a few cases in Europe over the last 5 years, just in travelers, but this is the first time we're seeing cases across many countries at the same time in people who have not traveled to the endemic regions in Africa.
Endemic in parts of Central and West Africa. In the past, it was generally confined to isolated cases outside that region. Now, with evidence of community transmission via close bodily contact across many countries, they'll be investigating whether the virus has become more transmissible.
The question is whether it will develop like previous monkeypox outbreaks. We must take into consideration that the way the virus spreads could mean it changed, so we must react quickly and decisively now to contain a global outbreak.
The symptoms are generally mild, if unsightly, and often clear up on their own, but there are higher risk groups among the young and immunocompromised. So the European Centre for Disease Prevention and Control is warning member states to gear up for possible vaccine distribution, using remaining supplies of the vaccine that helped eradicate smallpox in the 1980s. Beyond concern, however, no one is signalling alarm.
For the broader population, the likelihood of spread is very low. However, the likelihood of further spread of the virus through close contact, for example, during sexual activities among persons with multiple sexual partners, is considered to be high.
In a world still racked by the COVID-19 pandemic, societies have an advanced understanding of viral spread and protection. Testing, contact tracing, self-isolation and basic hygiene are household concepts. So containing a disease like monkeypox should be relatively easy.
Well, we'll continue to follow what is a really developing story across the world with this monkeypox virus here on the Morning Report. But coming up on the other side of this break, our COVID-19 updates as we record another death from the virus here in Barbados, and new cases continue to fluctuate on island. We'll look at what is happening in Antigua, and of course we'll give you a snapshot on the updates coming out of the Russia-Ukraine invasion. In our COVID-19 updates, we hear that a 91-year-old female succumbed to COVID-19 on Monday, May the 23rd. She was fully vaccinated. As a result of her passing, the total number of COVID-19 related deaths on island now stands at 443. The number of positive COVID-19 cases recorded on Monday, May the 23rd was 334, 148 males and 186 females. The Best Dos Santos Public Health Lab conducted 1,198 tests on that occasion. The new cases consist of 78 individuals under the age of 18. There were 67 people in isolation facilities, while 3,363 people were in home isolation. The Public Health Lab has now carried out 681,391 tests since February 2020 and recorded 79,383 COVID-19 cases. Second booster doses of COVID-19 vaccines are to be made available as of June 1st in Antigua and Barbuda. The Chief Medical Officer there, Dr. Rhonda Seeley-Thomas, says the move is aimed at shoring up waning immunity among select groups of individuals amidst an uptick in COVID-19 cases and a high positivity rate.
In consultation with the COVID-19 National Technical Working Group, a decision has been made to administer second booster doses of the COVID-19 vaccines to vulnerable groups. And these would include healthcare workers, persons who are immunocompromised, and those who are over the age of. They can start visiting our vaccination sites at the Villa Polyclinic and the Multipurpose Center and our main clinics to get the booster dose of the COVID-19 vaccines.
Let's look at the war between Russia and Ukraine now. And as the Russian invasion of Ukraine stalls a bit, residents in Ukraine are confident in their ability to retake territory taken by the Russians not only this year, but as far back as 2014. Let's take a look at what is happening in this situation.
The war in Ukraine has not gone as expected. Kyiv was meant to fall to Russian invaders in a matter of days. 3 months after missiles, shells, and paratroopers began landing in and around the capital, Ukraine is putting the spoils of war on display. Morale and anger at Russia are now so high, Ukrainians say the only acceptable victory will be taking everything back. Occupied territories in the east, even Crimea.
Yes, I believe the return of our territories is possible. And I think we should not stop. I believe there should not be any negotiations about returning to the same borders we had before the start of this war. No. We should get our cities and Crimea back. This is our sovereign country, and we should defend it. There should not be any negotiations with the enemy.
Of course I believe, full stop. I hope that it will be this way. The truth is on our side. We are defending our land. We really want and hope for this to happen.
Yes, Ukraine needs weapons, and our army will do everything, and we will win. I'm sure we will get victory, and yes, we will win.
Just weeks ago, Independence Square was under lockdown and covered in snow. Now people line up to buy stamps commemorating a moment in the early days of the war, when Ukraine, in no uncertain terms, told Russia to leave its territory.
I hope that it's a good sign that we can win in this war and we can survive. So for me, it's a sign that we have a chance for a good future.
And do you have a message for Russia and Russian leaders? Do you have a message for Putin?
Only bad words. I'm sorry, I can't say anything more, so I can't say.
Things look very different in the Ukrainian capital today. Diplomatic missions are reopening, people are returning, and Ukrainians seem far more optimistic, albeit cautiously, than they did at the beginning of this war. But the war is not over. Russian forces are escalating offensives in Ukraine's east, remobilizing forces to battlefields in the south. All indications are conflict with Russia is the new normal. And as long as Russia controls the skies over their country, nowhere in Ukraine is completely safe. Theirs is a future that remains uncertain.
Let's come back home now to hear from Wendy what's happening on the Wednesday edition of Morning Barbados. Wendy, what are you looking at today?
Good morning to you, Shane. Good morning to our viewers. As you know, this is Social Sciences Week, and they've been doing a lot up on the Hill to let us know all about their programming. So the Deputy Dean will join us this morning to tell us about a few other programs within the faculty. We'll also get to hear from the Caribbean Telecommunications Union. As you know, Shane, we're always talking about cryptocurrency, digital currency. Well, they will be along to tell us exactly how we can operate within this online environment and what it means to be trading in these currencies online. We'll also be touching on renewable energy. It's the thrust that everybody's being pushed towards as Barbados looks to have a clean energy policy and move away from fossil fuels. So we'll be talking to the Energy Co-op, and they'll be telling us all about some of the things we can do as regular homeowners to save and be a part of this new thrust toward renewables.
A lot happening on a Morning Barbados. Thank you so much, Wendy. We'll see you at 6:30. Here on the Morning Report after the break, a move to develop the island's caves and gullies is afoot. We'll give you the details up next right here on the Morning Report. An initiative is on the cards to develop more of the country's caves and gullies. The Tourism and International Transport Minister, Senator Lisa Cummins, made the announcement during a tour of Harrison's Cave Eco-Adventure Park. She says the move is in line with Prime Minister Amor Motley's belief that gullies and caves must be part of the island's development trajectory.
One of the mandates that has been given to the Board of Directors of Caves of Barbados Limited is the development of and the exploration of caves very similar to Harrison's Cave to create the kind of iconic experiences that people have had for many, many years here in Harrison's Cave, whether it is in the cave or the reverse of the cave, the gully. Beautiful, iconic locations here in Barbados that represent our ecotourism heritage. And we want to be able to share that principally with Barbadians and then with visitors who visit our shores, and we share who we are with them.
Government has ramped up its preventative strategy for the African swine fever. The Agriculture Minister in Darweer tabled the Animal Diseases and Importation Amendment Bill 2022, noting the diseases could potentially cause a 100% wipeout on farms. He explains the bill allows veterinary services to take the necessary steps to prevent the disease from reaching our shores. This includes banning the importation of pork products.
You have the economic side as they would impact the farmers. Barbados has a major processing plant. Mr. Speaker, that does burgers, hot dogs, bacon, the works. And if we were to expose this country to risk, that plant also will be at risk of either closing down, laying off hundreds of people, and going out of business simply because we would not be able to provide enough pork for them to continue at scale.
In more news from Parliament, we are hearing that government is moving to reduce the number of people exempted from paying the airport service charge. The Energy Minister, Kerry Simmons, made the disclosure as he read out the changes that will be brought under the Airport Service Charge Bill 2022. Under the legislation, senators, MPs, their spouses and children, and others will now have to pay. Additionally, Minister Simmons has explained only 4 categories will qualify for exemptions.
The exemptions are now truncated, and they are 1, 2, 3, 4 in nature, all fundamental. Staff members of international organizations who, in accordance with the terms of the agreement of their representative organizations and the Barbados government, are entitled to be exempt from the payment of any charges or taxes on travel taken in the performance of their duties, they are exempted. Children under the age of 2, for the very good reason, sir, that they're sitting in mommy's lap or in daddy's lap for most of the time and not really utilizing any services at the airport. In transit passengers remaining in Barbados for a period not exceeding 1 day, that is a globally understood position with respect to taxation on service charges. And members of the crew of an aircraft, because again, that is in keeping with the expected standards as laid out by the IATA.
A block committee has been re-established as government seeks to provide opportunities for the young people of this country. The Minister of Youth, Sports and Community Empowerment, Charles Griffith, made the revelation as he addressed the graduation ceremony for the Barbados Youth Advanced Corps yesterday. Sharika Griffith tells us more.
I have a board in my office, a whiteboard with 45 projects geared towards developing our young people, geared towards developing sports, geared towards empowering communities in this country. 45. Some are ongoing, some are coming on stream.
Youth, Sports and Community Empowerment Minister Charles Griffith speaking about plans to improve the lives of this country's youth. He says those set to come on stream include a national mentorship program and one targeting those on the blocks.
There's a segment of our population that function outside of mainstream society. But as a ministry and as a government, we cannot afford to just sit back and just say, well, look, you decide that you're going to remain outside mainstream society. So a block committee was put in place. They're already on the ground. And they've already registered in excess of 50 forms. They only went to probably about 2 or 3 locations of individuals who want to change life, individuals who want a second chance in life. And similar to you, we are going to provide an opportunity for them to reintegrate into society.
Minister Griffith was addressing 334 young men and women who successfully passed the Barbados Youth Advanced Corps 2-year training program, representing a 90% completion rate. Director Hallie Haynes says this was no small feat, given the myriad challenges facing the institution, which replaced the Barbados Youth Service in 2019.
We had to make several adjustments to the training program due to the lockdown and restrictions occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic. One of the lessons learned is that we must ensure that all of our trainees are exposed to online training and are equipped and competent to navigate the various online training modalities.
Participants not only gained academic qualifications from City and Guilds and the Caribbean Examinations Council, but also gained work experience and received training in areas such as financial literacy, conflict resolution, suicide prevention, and hospitality. Mr. Haynes has outlined how even more young people can get involved.
Every effort must be made to ensure that the Barbados Youth Advanced Core Facility at Paragon Christchurch is completed as soon as practicable to allow us to facilitate much more young people. This would allow the Barbados Youth Advanced Core to cater to a minimum of 900 young persons per year.
He says such an investment in young people will reap significant dividends in the short, medium, and long term. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
News further afield now. Belize's Ministry of Health and Wellness is making certain safety recommendations to schools there in light of the increase in COVID-19 cases. The Director of Public Health and Wellness, Dr. Melissa Diaz-Musa, is however not recommending that schools close at this time.
We have, by the definition, that we would say yes, we do have some clusters in certain areas, certain businesses. We're seeing a trend of more and more cases coming out. And definitely in some schools. Now, with regards to the schools, it is important that we have learned a lot from COVID-19. And when schools started in the hybrid manner, we had quite a successful few months with that hybrid learning. Now that schools have been trying to go back fully, and now that the BA2 is circulating and we're seeing increased numbers, it's something that we've got to look at the schools individually. But first and foremost, as I said earlier, the public health measures, trying to stress to the kids and teachers and principals the importance of the public health measures, the social distancing, reducing a lot of what we know may cause spread, and try to be as strict as possible in the classroom, keeping the classrooms open, having the hand washing done regularly. So all these things will help to reduce the transmission. And in classes, if you have a class of 20 students and 10 are positive at that point, or 4 are positive, we need to say, we've got to make a decision for that class. Let's suspend that class. You go back to the hybrid learning, and we've got to wait until that transmission cycle has been broken.
Migrants waiting to seek asylum in the U.S. are facing yet another roadblock. It comes after the Title 42 asylum law was recently upheld by a district judge. Conservative politicians have applauded the ruling, while human rights activists are calling for justice.
The look of disappointment on the faces of migrants near Mexico's border with the United States. Many of them, like Ronnie Freid, a Haitian migrant who has been stuck in Mexico for more than a year, were hoping Monday would mark an end to Title 42, a pandemic-era policy that has prevented thousands of migrants from seeking asylum in the U.S.
I watch every day to see how things might improve for us. The truth is, I was hoping Title 42 would end, because I'm afraid of returning to Haiti, or of being deported.
Across the border in the United States, conservative politicians have defended the decision by a U.S. District Court to block the Biden administration from ending Title 42, calling it a vital element for managing the crisis on the border.
We're doing everything we possibly can to prevent people from coming across the border into the state of Texas.
In Tijuana, migrants' rights advocates have held demonstrations in recent days, pleading for U.S. officials to end Title 42, calling it a xenophobic policy that's suspended the processing of asylum applications.
Let's look at sports now, and a sensational innings of 68 from David Miller. The South African led the Gujarat Titans to the Indian Premier League final after they beat Shimron Hetmeyer's Rajasthan Royals by 7 wickets in their first qualifier yesterday. Joss Butler slammed 89 of 56 in the Royals' effort. of 188 for 6. The captain, Sandro Sampson, chipped in with 47, while Hetmyer went for just 4. And Alzari Joseph, he was wicketless. The Titans, however, never looked troubled in pursuit as Miller finished the contest with 3 balls to spare on 191 for 3 with 3 consecutive sixes in that final over. Let's take a look at the highlights.
Oh, good ball. It's gone the other way.
Face either Lucknow Super Giants or the Royal Challengers Bangalore to see who will play them, and that will be in the Eliminator, and that will happen tomorrow. Of course, we will bring you the details in our sporting news. That's sports. Time now to look at the weather. The temperature on the outside, 26.6 degrees Celsius, around that temperature every morning. Now a bit warmer than usual. The relative humidity is 82%. It's partly cloudy on the outside. The barometric pressure is 1015.5 millibars, and those winds are coming out of the east at 37 kilometers per hour. We'll see a low tide this morning at 21 minutes to 7. That's in a few minutes' time. We'll also see a high tide later on, just after midday at 22 minutes to 1 in the afternoon. Those seas are smooth to moderate in open water. Swells are between 1 and 1.5 meters and increasing. We'll get a mix of sunshine and clouds here in Barbados today with a few brief isolated light showers. And tonight, a mix of clear skies and clouds with a few brief isolated light showers. And here's a look at the international weather forecast. And that's it for the Wednesday edition of the CBC Morning Report. I'm Shane Seeley. I'll see you at 7 with headline news, but up next is Wendy Burke with Mornin Barbados.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning, Barbados, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, 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 morning. Barbados,
and good morning to you on this Wednesday, the 25th of May. Now, it's a wonderful Wednesday. Yes, that's exactly what we're going to make it today. You, me, all of us. This morning, we're going to be going first back up the hill to the Cave Hill campus to continue to talk about the activities which are going on for Social Sciences Week. So a warm welcome to you once again this morning. I'm Wendy Burke with you today. We're going to be talking now to the Deputy Dean, Susan Mahon, from the Faculty of Social Sciences. Good morning to you.
And good morning, Barbados, and anybody who's watching from anywhere in the world. A warm good morning.
Now, you seem excited, which means that there's a lot going on for the remainder of this week that you have to share with us.
Absolutely. And this morning, I'm here in my second hat. I am indeed Deputy Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences. As you know, you've been having us all week. But this morning, I'm representing the Interim Executive Director and CEO of our Sagicor Cave Hill School of Business and Management, which is one of the departments of the Faculty of Social Sciences. And yes, I'm excited. I'm always excited when we have anything to do with the faculty, and doubly so when we're talking about the School of Business and Management.
Now, the School of Business,
that we have.
You all have been able to assist a number of people who are still within the workforce to upgrade and upskill and so on. Walk me through some of the courses that you offer.
Oh, absolutely. And we are tagging along with the week of activities, preparing for tomorrow's opportunities today. And indeed, we do have a suite of offerings, and we meet you where you are. So persons might be more familiar with our undergraduate programming and our graduate programming. We offer both undergraduate and graduate programming across a variety of management and business disciplines, including accounting, finance, management, which includes international business, human resource management, and so on. And at our graduate level, we've done a lot of work ensuring that our programs are relevant and cutting edge. So some of our newer programs include business analytics with a suite of different specializations that the students can be involved in. And if you are a businessman, if you are in business and you want to enhance those skills, at the graduate level, the MBA program may be more suited to you. There's persons that have different pathways. So some people develop along their careers along an academic pathway and then go into their particular careers. Some people go to work first, and they develop within their organizations and then seek to recertify. And so we offer a suite of programming and meet you where you are. Okay. What's also available that persons may not be as familiar with is our open enrollment, shorter courses that are targeted to specific skills and competencies that are offered. For example, project management. And we do that within the school, and we also do that in collaboration with the University Center for Professional Development and Lifelong Learning. So the opportunity here is maybe threefold. If you are a person, especially in this environment, looking to retool, reskill, you may be not in your preferred career option, this is the time to prepare yourself, take advantage of the course offerings, and be ready for an opportunity that you may not see, but that may be right around the corner for you.
Okay. Now, you used to offer an EMBA. I want to know if that's still current. And also, in terms of your links, because it is called the Sagicor School, and I know there was a point at which you were in deep discussions with our private sector about what are some of the skill sets missing, whether it be the soft skills, whether it be looking at new and emerging technologies and roles within the workforce. Are you still working that closely with the private sector to develop these programs?
Oh, deeply, 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 Wendy. Indeed, the relationship is one that is vibrant. And I'll give two examples of this. In our entrepreneurship suite, and I should have mentioned that earlier, we're really excited about that. We offer not only local programming at the undergraduate, we do have a management in a BSc at the undergraduate level in management, innovation, and entrepreneurship, freshly minted. We have reformulated that program, so that's available for entry. And at the graduate level through both the MSc and the MBA, but also for the the relationship with the Sagicor and some of the other members of the private sector, this is where the organizational training comes in. So we do offer through our strategic business services unit in the school the chance to come into the organization to do organizational research to identify, as you said, the deficits that may be present or the opportunities for growth within the organization, and then custom or tailor training specifically to that organization for those skill sets. And we have been working with both the private and the public sector with these initiatives. If I go back to entrepreneurship, we have a deep relationship with First Caribbean International Bank, and they are partners with us in our SEED program. One of the things that we offer at the university is the opportunity for students to learn outside of their traditional academic courses. So any student at the campus can register in what we call a co-curricular course. And this one, the SEED course of which I'm speaking, is the Student Empowerment Entrepreneurial Empowerment Development. And it allows a student who may have a business idea, who may already have started their business, but to team up with a range of professionals, both private and public sector and funding agencies, as compete with their business plan for funding through our Small Business Center, which is under the direction of Mrs. Ayana Young Marshall, and she's been doing a lot of work in that area as well. In terms of entrepreneurship, we also do allow persons, as part of our outreach, we do allow persons from the community who are not enrolled in the university proper, but in a dedicated course, but to come in, and we have done that since 2019. Part of our response to COVID and persons being laid off or people getting their hours cut back was giving them the opportunity to come in, let's review what your plans are, and to maybe direct you through our entrepreneurship suite to help develop out that business idea.
So it means you're not only working with those who are part of the campus faculty, but you're also reaching out to your community. Now tonight you all are having something special at the Arrowbarra Center as part of your SOSI Week. Tell me a bit about it and how we as the public can be involved.
Well, that's this afternoon at 2. The Assistant Secretary from the U.S. is here with us and having a town hall. So there's a session at the Arrowbarra Center for Creative Imagination at 2 this afternoon. It's really targeted towards our student population. He wants to have discussions with us, but members of the general public can call in to see if there's seating available. Of course, all COVID-19 protocols are still in place, so there is going to be limited seating for that. So he's paying a visit to the campus today and meeting with us this afternoon, and wants to engage with our student body, as I said, at 2 this afternoon. Okay. What's also happening this evening as well are the webinars. So to reintroduce our programming at the undergraduate level, that's at 5:30, or at the postgraduate level, that's at 7 p.m. And anyone can join on. Those are going to be virtual, and you can register for that if you go onto the campus website, kphil.uwi.edu/FSS, that's for the Faculty of Social Sciences. You'll see the link there. Or if you just come on to our landed page at kphil.uwi.edu, you will see, and just type in virtual sessions, you will be guided to the link for this afternoon's webinar, or this evening's webinar.
Yes, and we're only at the middle of the week, and you all have had a lot going on already and have a lot more to come. Well, Susan, I wish you all the best as you continue your week of activities. I hope this afternoon session the students fully engage. It's not every day that a U.S. secretary wants to come and, link with you. So that's an awesome opportunity for your faculty and for your students. So I wish you all the best as you continue toward the end of the week.
Thank you so much for having us on this morning, and have a great week.
Thank you as well.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's Susan Mahan, the Deputy Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences. When we come back, we'll be talking with the Caribbean Telecommunications Union, the CTU, and they'll be telling us all about digital currency and cryptocurrency, all that we need to know. We'll be back.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And we're back. It's time now to talk about a webinar. It's called Demystifying Cryptocurrency and Digital Cash in the Caribbean. It happens on Friday, the 3rd of June. And we're going to speak now with Mr. Rodney Taylor, who's the Secretary General of the ITU, and Mr. Jan Schroeder. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning, Wendy.
Yes, good morning. Now, we're looking at creating an awareness about this new age and this money regime that we're operating in. There are a lot of people who are into it. There are a lot of people who are afraid of it. What are some of the things we need to demystify, Rodney?
Thank you for having us. And let me just make one correction. I'm the Secretary General of the CTU as opposed to the ITU, just so that viewers are aware. But yes, we're having this webinar next week, Friday, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. You can register at ctu.int, click on our events page, and you'll see all the information there. And we will attempt to demystify cryptocurrency and digital cash. These are terms that are being used quite frequently in recent times. Of course, everyone knows about Bitcoin, but there are several other cryptocurrencies out there. We've had within the OECS countries a move towards DigiCash and so on. There's mobile money, lots of different terms. What are the implications of these? We don't want to share all of it here today, but we want to give you a teaser and so that you are interested to register. We have Jan Schroeder here with us this morning. He's an expert in this field, and he'll be speaking, giving us a background on all of the technical terms and what the implications are. We also have the Honorable Minister Strawn, Ryan Strawn, in the Ministry of Finance, Barbados, who will be giving us a perspective from an economic point of view. We have Marla Dukaran and also Charmaine Powell from the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. So there are a number of experts who will be speaking on this call, on the webinar next week, including Vashti Maharaj, who deals with digital trade in the Commonwealth Secretariat. So there are a number of issues. Of course, money as we know it is changing and is being infused with technology, what we call fintech. And therefore, it is important that we build public awareness around these issues. That is the role of the CTU in terms of building awareness on technology issues across all sectors, whether it's financial services, agriculture, tourism. What is the impact of technology on these different sectors? And this is what we're aiming to do next week, specifically in the area of financial services.
Okay, if I can go to Jan now and look at how we in the region have been responding to this new world and these currencies that are operating. Are we taking a bit too long to catch up with the rest of the world? I mean, you have African nations that do no longer trade in paper.
Well, actually, I'm from Germany, first time in Barbados, so thank you for having me here. If I compare that to our European scenery, the Caribbean is far not behind, but they're far in front of us because we're just discussing things like central bank digital currencies. You're already doing it here. And that's actually why I'm so intrigued in working with the Caribbean, setting up a project myself here for an all-Caribbean currency to be used for regional trade. So actually, I think there have been talks like Barbados being something like the Silicon Valley of fintech. And I think this is just talks. This can become reality, and I'm really excited to be part of this.
In terms of your own company, how long has it been operating, and how did you make Europeans come to that level of awareness in terms of trading in these new currencies?
Actually, trying to make a long story short, my deep dive into cryptocurrency and blockchain started in Berlin something like 8 years ago. 4 years ago in London, I met Gabriel Abed in a conference. We were talking about governance issues related to digital currencies. And I think this is one major issue, because if you think about trust, which is a major thing when you deal with currencies, then it's always a question who is behind this. And then you're into governance. So looking at fiat money, so the money you regularly use, this is, well, stable because of trust in governments, as long as this works. We have to look at Venezuela, then we see even this can't work. And so these were the ideas leading us to setting up something like a Carib dollar for the region. I've been working on that for something more than 1.5 years now. We'll introduce it a little bit in the seminar as well and invite Caribbean businesses to be part of our MVP, which will be launched this year.
Okay, so we're looking forward to that. If I can get back to you now, Rodney, in terms of the level of awareness, what has been done thus far at the CARICOM level in terms of trying to get the majority of our countries online? I mean, we're still fighting toward a common currency to utilize within the region. So now we're going the extra mile with crypto and digital currencies. Are they really ready? Are the platforms there for them to step onto?
Certainly, the OECS countries have already tackled this, and they've issued a central bank issued digital currency, which is in use, Dcash, within the OECS countries. What we're hoping to do, what we want to promote, is a CARICOM-wide digital currency, digital means of payment, so that to enhance trade across borders, because the issue of payments and digital trade is an issue. When you deal with intermediary banks, the cost of moving money throughout the region, having to go to North America to deal, or outside of the region to deal with intermediary banks, is costly, it is complex in terms of the regulations and compliance. So the OECS has tackled this issue already. There's a commitment from the government of Barbados with the present administration with respect to the digitization of the Barbados dollar. And there are other initiatives that are taking place. In Barbados, we have mobile monies, and there are different pockets of things that are happening, and there's a general awareness. As Jan pointed out, there's a lot of positives within the region, and there's a space that we can lead globally if we take the opportunity now.
Okay, when we talk fintech and all these other terms, we usually associate the younger set of the population, those, about 55 and upward. What about our older folks who are still very active in business, still trade across the region, still trade into North America? How are we going to be looking to get them on board? Because we sometimes, people still have an apprehension to do digital banking. So how are we going to get them now not to want to be touching physical cash anymore?
Well, in fact, this technology is all about financial inclusion. So it addresses issues with respect to regulations and knowing your customer. And because it is easier to onboard a customer digitally with respect to digital currencies and digital cash, it should, and Jan can speak to this in more greater detail, but it allows those that are unbanked, including older population, including small and micro enterprises, the coconut vendor on the highway who wants to receive payments digitally. So it really is about financial inclusion, and this is where the technology rose from because of the complexities of the current financial system.
Okay, Jan, how do you feel about what's going on globally? You mentioned that we are a bit behind, but still getting there. How much longer do you think it's going to take? How many of these webinars would we need you to be on before we get there?
Actually, I think my English was bad. I was not saying you're behind. I was saying Europe is behind somewhat. So you're advanced, I would say. So, well, it's an educational thing. So looking, for example, at German numbers before COVID, 1/3 of the population didn't use electronic or digital money at all. Now this dropped to 20% because people were forced to. So I think it will be an educational move, like with this webinar. It'll take some years for certain, like every time. When people switched from using horses to cars, it took some time as well. So this is something almost the same going on here, because surely people are attached to their physical cash somewhat mentally. As a German, I know that the German mark, people were crying when they had to leave it for the euro. So this takes some time, but at the end, if you're far away on a small island, you don't have an ATM, how do you get your cash? It's so difficult, and so it's much more convenient if you do it in a digital and safe way. And that's actually what we'll be talking about in the webinar as well. Safety is a real issue for people. They want to have be sure that when they go to bed, there's $1,000 in their pocket and in their wallet, and there should be $1,000 the next morning as well.
That was going to be my next question to you, the safety concerns, and if we have all of the requisite programming to be able to keep that money safe. Because, I mean, we read international papers, we hear about different currencies being, you know, infiltrated, etc. So people have concerns, and then they're not sure which one to go with.
Yeah, this certainly is an issue, and you have to be very well aware of with whom you are working there. Safety issues are tackled all over the world. There's nothing like 100% safety, neither for physical cash. You may be robbed on your way from the bank. For digital cash, I think personally it's much safer, though still there always will be some risks. The other side, the black side, is intelligent as well. So we have to work on this, and this is something we'll have to touch in the seminar and webinar as well. And we all work on it all the time. It's a race between the good ones and the bad ones.
Okay. Now, Rodney, how can we become part of this webinar? Where do we go?
Thank you for asking that question. It's absolutely free. You can go to the CTU's website, ctu.int, click on events, and you'll see the cryptocurrency webinar there, which is the next session we'll be having. Actually, we do have an Internet Public Policy Forum tomorrow, so that's the next one. But after that is the cryptocurrency, which is next week, Friday, June 3rd. You just click on you'll see the agenda, you'll see the outline, you'll see the speakers and topics, and we encourage all of Barbados to sign up. We have the capacity to host most of you, if not all, but certainly we want you to register as soon as possible to take your place in case we run out of spaces. It's a virtual webinar, and I'm sure that you will be edified, you will enjoy the experience, and you will learn a lot with respect to this new and emerging field of technology and financial services.
Okay, and we thank the Caribbean Telecoms Union for bringing it to us, and Mr. Schroeder. The name of it, the webinar on demystifying cryptocurrency and digital cash in the Caribbean, coming up Friday, June 3rd. So here's hoping that we can get more of these educational sessions, because as you know, some people are very set in their ways, and if it's hard cash I'm accustomed to, that's what I want to hold on to. So let's hope that we do demystify it and we can all get on and become part of the world's new reality. Thank you for joining us this morning, gentlemen, and do have a wonderful Wednesday.
Thank you very much. Same to you.
Thank you for having us.
When we come back after the break, we will be telling you all about some opportunities that are around. We, of course, are going to go to the news, but we're also going to be telling you about some environmental matters and a number of other things coming up. We'll be back.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And we're back. As we told you, there are going to be some things environmental that we have to talk about today. And the HEY campaign is one of them. HEY, Healthy and Environmentally Friendly Youth. They're going to be having a special campaign launch ceremony coming up quite shortly on the 25th. Yes, it's going to be 10 a.m. today, and it's going to be on their HEY Campaign's YouTube channel as well as their Facebook live stream. Now, as you know, our local Ashley Lashley Foundation is part of this HEY campaign, and it's under their patronage with the supportive partners UNICEF, the Clara Lionel Foundation, Open Society Foundations, and the Children's Environmental Rights Initiative. Now, we're going to be looking to launch. There's some 27 countries or more that are on board as they look to fight climate change throughout the Caribbean. So join them this morning for their launch. It's going to be something that we should all be a part of. Whether you're young or not, let's help to save our environment. Well, we're coming up to news time. We have our very own Shane Seeley, who will be looking to update us. But before we go to Shane, this is still in the season of emancipation, and today is so big that we have 3 things going on during the course of today. There's going to be storytelling in the morning at Farley Hill with 4 of our primary schools. Then in the afternoon, we're going to be going over to Golden Square Freedom Park for the Emancipation Roots Experience fashion show. And tonight, we're going to be having a virtual discussion, Africans at Home and Abroad, their experience and problems faced. That's going to be running online. So there's lots for you to go out there and become involved in as we celebrate the season of emancipation. But now, let's get our update on news.
Thank you, Wendy. Here's your headline news for this Wednesday, May 25th, with the recent changes to the mask mandate, which take effect today, with people now free to not wear masks on the outdoors. A new directive has been prepared to give effect to that change. The ticketing system now in place only relates to the non-wearing of masks in public buildings and on school compounds. Attorney General Dale Marshall, in making the announcement, says the stipulation previously included public places but is now limited to public buildings. He made it clear that it includes a building, tent, or other structure that is fully or substantially enclosed, to which members of the public have general or conditional right to access. The new directive took effect from midnight and will run until June the 25th. Barbadians have been reminded the rules are there for everyone's protection and must be followed. While today there have been no monkeypox cases reported or suspected here in Barbados, the Ministry of Health and Wellness is maintaining a state of vigilance and readiness in response to the reported outbreak in parts of Europe and the US. The ministry, in a statement, indicated it would continue its active surveillance with respect to the global situation and intends to keep the public informed on any public health developments of concern. The World Health Organization has received reports of monkeypox cases in 12 member states, not normally endemic for the virus, and this has been happening since the beginning of May. Monkeypox, you may remember, is a disease of global health importance which primarily occurs in tropical rainforests of Central and West Africa, but is now being seen more often in urban areas. CARFA is also raising the alarm and awareness and asking Barbados and other member states to be vigilant, with more and more cases being detected across the globe, and close to 100 cases have been reported by the World Health Organization. CARFA issued a watch brief for monkeypox as the agency delivered its COVID-19 situation report in the last 48 hours. The Executive Director, Dr. Joy St. John, has confirmed to the Morning Report that CARFA is working on procuring test kits for this pox virus. Meanwhile, we hear that the WHO is actively considering launching a vaccination program for the virus to curb any spread, and the majority of cases detected so far have been in the UK, Spain, and Portugal. In other news this morning, A 91-year-old woman succumbed to COVID-19 on Monday, May 23rd. She was fully vaccinated, and as a result of this death, the total number of COVID-19 related deaths here in Barbados now stands at 443. The number of positive cases in the latest round of tests, that's COVID-19 positive cases, was 334. That's on May the 23rd. 148 males and 186 females, which the Best dos Santos Public Health Laboratory identified from 1,198 tests done. The new cases consist of 78 individuals under the age of 18. There were 67 people in isolation and 3,363 people in home isolation. An initiative is on the cards to develop more of the country's caves and gullies. Tourism and International Transport Minister Senator Lisa Cummins made the announcement during a tour of Harrison's Cave Eco-Adventure Park. She says the move is in line with the Prime Minister's belief that gullies and caves must be part of the island's development trajectory.
One of the mandates that has been given to the Board of Directors of Caves of Barbados Limited is the development of and the exploration of caves very similar to Harrison's Cave, to create the kind of iconic experiences that people have had for many, many years here in Harrison's Cave, whether it is in the cave or the reverse of the cave, the gully. Beautiful, iconic locations here in Barbados that represent our ecotourism heritage. And we want to be able to share that principally with Barbadians and then with visitors who visit our shores, and we share who we are with them.
And that's your headline news for this Wednesday morning. I'm Shane Seeley. More is coming up on Morning Barbados with Wendy Burke after this break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And we're back. It's time now to talk about renewable energy. Yes, Barbados is in a thrust to work toward 2030 for clean and green energy. And this morning, we're going to be having some members of the Renewable Energy Co-op with us, Miss Felicia Cox and Lieutenant Colonel Trevor Brown. And we'll be talking renewable energy. What are the benefits of it to us as regular citizens? Good morning to you both.
Good morning, Wendy.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning to you. Now, I will start with the lady first, Felicia, and just tell me a bit about your passion for renewable energy and how you work within the sector.
Thanks for having me on, Wendy. Passion for renewable energy started when I was actually a teenager. Big news was the hole in the ozone layer. We had the Earth Conference here in Barbados, and being someone who loved math and science at the time, I thought, you know what, I want to be a part of making a change for my country and for the world. So I want to be in renewable energy when I get older. It's really important, in my opinion, to be investing in renewables given Barbados's vulnerability to climate change. And even though we're a really small country, I think we've seen that being small doesn't mean you can't be a leader. And we've been a leader for a very long time in solar water heating. We have one of the highest per capita penetrations of solar water heating in the world. And I think that we can similarly lead in renewable energy.
Okay. And you, Colonel Brown, you are an engineer, this we know, but this is a different hat you're wearing this morning. So what is the Renewable Energy Co-op all about?
Hey, good morning, Wendy, and to everyone. Well, as we've been saying for quite a while now, one of the most exciting opportunities for investment and development going forward is going to be the area of sustainable or renewable energy. So because it offers such exciting investment opportunities, and for ordinary Barbadians, the idea of a cooperative was developed a couple of years ago to facilitate ordinary Barbadians who may not necessarily have large amounts of capital available for investment at this time to still get involved in the exciting investment area of renewable energy going forward.
What sort of sums are we talking about here in terms of energy and the build out that we happen to be seeing? Because it seems as though every corner we turn now we're seeing some sort of solar park being built up. What kind of monies can this generate for us?
This is the really exciting part. Felicia mentioned that Barbados is a small country, and she is absolutely right. Given that, I want you to understand that the anticipated capital investments over the next 10 years is expected to be in the region of $5 billion US, which is actually significant. And the annual expenditure, the annual turnover for energy in Barbados is about $1 billion per year. Now, significant amounts of those funds are currently expended in buying fossil fuel, foreign exchange, to the extent that it is now technically possible to generate that energy, that raw energy, locally, and therefore save that expenditure in foreign exchange is particularly exciting, obviously for government, but also for us as an overall country. So the sums of monies involved are actually particularly significant.
Okay. Felicia, in terms of working in the sector and being able to see cost savings, say as a regular homeowner, 5-member household, what are we talking about here? Not only in terms of maybe a light bill, but what are some of the other benefits that can come back to us?
Well, I wouldn't say that any home is typical. I always have that question. I have this list of frequently asked questions where I'm always trying to explain to people that in my area, this is not like buying a fridge. It's not like buying a stove. If you want me to help you to reach your goals, we kind of have to customize it the way we customize our homes, right? But what it is, the data that I've looked at in terms of our overall consumption here in the country is that on average, for households, we about 8.3 kilowatt hours a day. Most people don't understand what that means, but it's that your May bill might have been around $210, right? And in order for you to make that money back, in a system that's going to be selling to the grid, you'd probably have to install about a 4.5 kilowatt system, roughly, possibly a little bit smaller, but that's around the size that you would have to install, and that might cost you perhaps in the range of about like $16,000 to $21,000, depending exactly on the materials. It can vary, and one of the reasons it can vary is it costs a different amount of money to tile your house if you're using ceramic tiles versus porcelain versus something else that's special, and that's one of the more interesting things about renewables, in that, especially with photovoltaics, you kind of can customize it how you want. You can get or you can get a really small subcompact car, depending on what your budget looks like.
Okay, so either way, we all need to be getting on board. Now, How has the co-op, Colonel Brown, been looking to educate the public, encourage them to sign on and be part of this revolution which is taking place right before our eyes?
Well, actually, the truth is that is one of our key objectives. This is so important that it is very, very critical that Barbadians actually understand what we're getting involved in. It is made more complicated because the process of converting from a fossil economy to a renewable economy is particularly complex. Let me say now that Felicia is actually being quite modest when she speaks about her interest in renewable energy. Felicia is actually one of the cutting-edge young engineering experts that actually understand this area. So it is resources like her, for example, that we in the co-op see as important in taking the whole country forward. My job as an old engineer really is to ask questions and to make sure that we avoid pitfalls and that we are successful. But it is people like her, with her understanding of what is involved in the change that we are undertaking, that will actually take us forward. And we have identified that as one of the critical areas in the cooperative. It is important that Barbadians understand what this is all about. It is going to affect every one of us. If we are successful, it's going to be good for everyone in Barbados. If it is not successful, it's going to be really, really bad for everyone in Barbados. Okay. So people like Felicia, and the kind of knowledge that she has, and the kind of insight that she could bring to what we're doing is actually critical.
But at present, it's a situation where we do have some local ownership of these plants that are going up, but then there's also a lot of foreign investment. So how are we going to ensure that we don't end up in another pitfall with the majority of what is being saved being sent back out?
A most critical question. In fact, to us, one of the most critical issues to be resolved. And again, one of the reasons why the credit union movement actually created the cooperative, the energy cooperative. Yeah. The whole intent is to put in place a mechanism that can have sustainable local ownership. As you hinted just now, we've had many successful operations in Barbados, many outstandingly successful operations in Barbados that are now no longer Barbadian. We would not want something as important as this energy base, this energy ownership to ever fall into that trap. And let me say that the government has actually recognized this weakness and has made specific allocation in their policy that they must remain a significant level of local ownership. One of the reasons of the co-op is to make sure that there's an opportunity for ordinary Barbadians to participate in that local ownership and to do it in a way that continues to be Barbadian 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road.
Okay. Felicia, given your interest and involvement with ordinary citizens like myself, do you think that we're really getting on the bus? Are we really about renewable energy, or are we, kind of nonchalant toward it? If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
I think a lot of people are actually excited by the opportunities, but I've had a lot of people express a certain level of ignorance. They're not sure. They don't know. So one of the things that's going to be really, really important is for there to be, broad public engagement and broad public education on renewable energy and the other things that have to go into it, like energy conservation and energy efficiency, because all of these will combine to get us to where we want to be. 100% renewable energy is not a task for the lighthearted, for the faint of heart, or for those who lack determination, but we have tools that we can use to get there, and we have so many hands in Barbados that we can all put onto the plow and do this lift. Everybody can have a buy-in, whether it's through the co-op or owning their own system or energy bonds, as there are some out there, or other instruments. Some of the insurance companies and so on are looking at other instruments. Everyone has an opportunity to participate, but just knowing and understanding what we're doing and why we're trying to do it is important.
Okay, and I'm sure that the co-op will find ways and means to help us get to that point and cross that bridge toward becoming renewable and having clean energy in the country. I want to thank you both for joining me this morning, Felicia Cox and Lieutenant Colonel Trevor Brown of the Renewable Energy Co-op. Keep spreading the message. We need it.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you.
It was great to have you. Have a great morning.
Thank you.
When we come back after the break, we'll be talking to one of our doctors on call. So you guys can listen in because we're going to be talking with the urologist. We'll be back in a bit.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And we're back. It's time now for Doc Talk, and I want to welcome this morning our urologist, Dr. Paul Rouse. Good morning, Dr. Rouse.
Good morning. Thanks for having me again. Good morning, Barbados.
Yes. Now we're going to be looking at urological symptoms not to ignore. And you're going to walk us through what some of these symptoms are. Now, flank pain. First of all, what is that?
Okay, so if we can bring up the first slide, the slide there. So the flank of our body is really sort of the side of the body. It's just below the lower rib cage and the upper part of the pelvic bone, which we call the costal, the hip bone. And it is really usually a sign that you could be possibly having some issues as far as your kidneys are concerned. If we go to the next slide.
Okay.
And so this is one, so the reason why I chose this topic is because recently I've been seeing a lot of patients who have been having these urological symptoms besides flank pain, blood in the urine, that are a sign that something is going on wrong with the urinary system, and they kind of ignore them for a while, and that is the real tragedy, really, because a lot of the times when you intervene quite early, a lot of the times, let me first reassure persons that it's usually something not to be too concerned about, and that's fine. But unfortunately, in some cases, can be a sign that something serious is going on. And because of the delay in going to see their GPs in the first instance, I always recommend patients see their GP in the first instance, who can examine you, take a good history, do a physical examination. A lot of the times, most of the times, they can reassure you it's nothing to be concerned about, but in appropriate cases, they can start the appropriate investigations, usually for most, in this case, flank pain. The most common investigation we do initially is an abdominal ultrasound. Your GP can review with that, and if there's an indication for you to see a urologist, like myself, then you can go on to see a urologist, or sometimes it can be something else related to your bowel or any other organ systems, and be referred appropriately. But the real problem, unfortunately, is when they ignore the symptoms, especially in this case, for flank pain, it could be either a tumor or growth of the kidney, it could be kidney stones, it could be a bad infection, and then by the time because of the delayed diagnosis, then these patients can have not so good outcomes, and that has been my main concern over the last few weeks to months, where I've seen patients, especially for example, with flank pain or what patients would consider sometimes a discomfort that they've been having, that uncomfortable feeling there. And it's been there for several weeks, sometimes even months, and then they finally get around to having it looked at. Unfortunately, if This case sometimes is a tumor. Recently I've had a case like that. It's quite an advanced tumor, and I really don't want to be seeing patients at that stage, because usually at that stage it's going to be quite an advanced tumor, and it can be a little bit more difficult to deal with.
What about if we can see blood within our urine? When you urinate, you can actually see blood.
One of my little pet peeves, yes. I really want to let the public out there, blood in your urine is not normal, okay? So it usually means that something serious is potentially going on with the urinary system. Blood in the urine can come from anywhere along the urinary system. It can be from your kidneys, it can be from the tube going from your kidney into your bladder, which is the ureter. It can be from your bladder. For men, it can be from your prostate gland, and very rarely, it can be also from the water passage or the urethra. So when you see visible blood in your urine, this is a real telltale sign that you really need to be investigated. Even if it's just a one-off episode, I really would impress upon patients, Barbadians, to initially see your GP, so you can have that initial assessment, and if need be, referred appropriately to a urologist. Because blood does mean there is something potentially quite serious going on with your urine, with the urinary system. When we test the urine, what we call microscopic hematuria or non-visible hematuria, this is unfortunately fairly common. 10-15% of normal persons can actually have a little bit of blood in the urine. This is blood when we detect it on the dipstick, not that you can see it. Nothing to be concerned about. Most GPs are aware of this. High prevalence of diabetes, hypertension, chronic diseases, and nothing that needs to be concerned about. But even sometimes that needs to be investigated if it's persistent. But the key thing is visible hematuria. It's really sad. So many times I get patients in, that have seen blood in their urine. Oh, I had another episode a few months ago, but it settled. I didn't have any pain. That's another thing. They say painless hematuria, and that's unfortunately can be a very serious sign. So even if it's just that one episode, you should really get to your GP, have that initial assessment. As I said, most of the times it's nothing to be worried about. But when it is something that is a little bit more serious, it's really appropriate that you get on to get some timely investigations, initially by your GP and then over to your urologist as need be.
Then there's the issue of having a recurrent urinary tract infection. I know there's some people who refuse to go to a bathroom, especially young kids. You would assume they wouldn't have tract infections, but sometimes these little children absolutely refuse to use a bathroom unless it's one they're familiar with.
Correct, and that's something we're probably going to need to address from the public health sector in terms of making sure that public bathrooms and rest areas are appropriate for persons to attend to reduce the risk of urinary tract infections. But when you have these, what we call recurrent urinary tract infections, when you have 2 or more infections within a 3-month period, you need to really have that investigated. So yes, again, initial assessment will be done by your GPs. If it's a straightforward urinary tract infection, if you're under 40, no risk factors, and no smoking, no exposure to chemicals in the workplace, etc., is fine. Most of the times we can easily reassure you at the general practice level, and nothing to be concerned about. So in vast majority, nothing to be concerned about. But there are those where you have these recurrent infections, especially if they persist, especially if they're associated with visible blood. Again, you hear me, that visible blood in the urine, that's always not a good sign. You really need to be further investigated. Again, the initial assessment can be done by your GPs in terms of an ultrasound scan. And once you're over 40, as men, you can need your prostate assessment. As women, you can need to have an ultrasound scan to make sure that nothing else is going on. For both men and women, to make sure that nothing else is going on is for your kidneys, that you don't have any tumors, you don't have any stone disease, that there's no obstruction of your urinary system. These are the more common things that would cause it, and readily treatable in most cases. Stones can easily be removed, minimally invasive nowadays, laparoscopic. We all have very powerful lasers that can deal with stones very efficiently, very effectively. As a day procedure, you come in, you have it, you go home. If you catch tumors early, we can remove the tumor. You don't necessarily need to remove your entire kidney. And again, we can offer that. We can do that now. I offer that laparoscopically as well, or keyhole surgery. And then if there's obstruction of your kidneys, we can deal with that appropriately. Again, a lot of times it can be done endoscopically, so minimally invasive techniques. You come in, you have the procedure done, you go home. So I want to reassure persons that a lot of times, yes, these symptoms are nothing to be concerned about, but when they are, we need to act on them early, because the earlier we intervene, the less we have to do, the better your outcomes, the faster your recovery. But if you leave it a little too late, then you get more advanced disease, whether it's stone, whether it's tumor, whether it's obstruction, and then the outcomes aren't as good. A lot of times then it means a lot more in detailed intervention just to preserve the urinary system, and with associated not as good outcomes when it's a delayed diagnosis.
When we talk about preserving the urinary system, you mean that these constant infections can actually do damage to the tubes and the bladder of itself?
Yes, a lot of these conditions are quite readily reversible causes of chronic, why we use renal failure is probably what most people would know. We call it now more acute kidney injury as to differentiate between those persons who need to go on to have dialysis. Stone disease is one of the easily reversible causes of chronic of renal failure. You have a stone that's obstructing your urinary system, it can easily be dealt with now endoscopically or minimally invasive technique. Stone's gone, your kidney is unobstructed, the kidney can function. The danger with, for example, with stone disease, if I stick with that one for the time being, is that because most people have two kidneys, and if one kidney becomes blocked, the other kidney can easily, readily take up the function. It usually actually starts to enlarge slightly, which we call compensatory hypertrophy, and take over the slack from that obstructed kidney. And a lot of times as well, the pain goes as the kidney stops functioning. But because you have another healthy kidney that's working fine, you don't recognize or you're not aware that kidney is slowly, not over days, but sometimes even months or sometimes years, is slowly losing its function. Okay. Nobody knows what the future holds, so we want to preserve both your kidneys and both your renal units as much as possible.
And you will indeed help us, Dr. Rouse. That's what you're there for as a urologist. We want to thank you for joining us this morning, and we hope that our viewers have been listening to those signs and symptoms that you definitely should not ignore. Have a great Wednesday.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Barbados.
That was Dr. Paul Rouse, or urologist on Doc Talk. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll tell you what one of our local DEOs is doing as hurricane season approaches.
Morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, and we are back. Yes, we were telling you about a number of things that are going to be coming up today, Wednesday, but also at the weekend. And come next week, we will be having a special fundraiser for Little Mackay. Yes, I'll give you some more details to it a little later in the show, But just remember that that account is still open. You can go out there to First Caribbean in Warrens and offer some support to help save this little baby's life. And we're going to tell you all about some more things that are going to be coming up. But also coming up this weekend outside of AgriFest, we also have our district emergency operations out and about in their communities doing things to help those who live there. Now, it's Safety Awareness Day on Saturday, May 28th, and the St. Michael Northwest DO is going to be having an event at the Deacon's Hard Court. I want to welcome this morning the chairperson of that DEO, Ms. Doriel Gill Skinner, and Simon Allen, both members of that DEO. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Wendy.
Good morning, Barbados, and good morning to you, Wendy.
Yes. Now, what is the event about again, Doriel? We had you on before, but we need to remind individuals what Safety Awareness Day is really all about.
Thank you. This Safety Awareness Day, normally during hurricane season or just about hurricane season, you get all of these ads and you keep hearing people say, oh, I have to prepare, I have to do this, I have to do that. But this is not what we're doing this year. This year we are we're doing it before, like way in advance. And we're starting on Saturday. We are bringing together, well, I call them the experts. And those are the persons that will come and speak to persons on what you have to do in preparation for the hurricane season that's upcoming. A lot of times people wait until too late to prepare.
Okay, and let's hope they won't be waiting for that length of time this time around. Simon, what's your involvement about in this project?
Well, thank you, Wendy. Basically, I am a disaster management consultant. So one of the areas of expertise that I have would be in disaster management. So for me, public awareness is very important, especially coming up to the hurricane season. We know the hurricane season starts from June 1st and goes to November 30th. And it is very important that people understand that we have to go beyond just buying canned goods and ensuring that our properties are safe. We have to make sure that our communities are resilient. So how do we get communities that are resilient? Well, we make sure that our DEOs, our district emergency organizations, are functioning, and that the members that are part of that organization are able to map and
Okay, it seems as though Simon's frozen a bit there, but he was telling us all about mapping out the areas, which is something that we all have to do, Doriel, as we try to continue the exercises for the hurricane season. Every community is divided into districts, and we have members of those DOs who are responsible for various areas. Now, you were mentioning a number of experts that will be, oh, Simon is back with us. So Simon, can we continue from where we're mapping?
Particularly DEOs with the experience, they're able to identify and do hazard mapping, and also identify the vulnerable persons in the community, the elderly, the disabled, who would need special assistance in terms of when a disaster may occur. And we go beyond just hurricanes. Right now we know hurricane season between June to November, but it's also important to recognize that with the comprehensive disaster management approach, we look at all the man-made hazards as well as the natural hazards that can occur any time of the year, from volcanic eruptions or volcanic ash to earthquakes, and even to major transportation accidents.
Okay. Now, Doriel, have you seen any man-made disasters in St. Michael Northwest? Have your residents been doing anything that is a potential danger to them and others in the community?
I have noticed some, and we were out in the field on Sunday, and I had to caution some because I saw a heap of garbage right at the mouth of the canal. You know, once the rain comes and that washes into the canal, it blocks that whole area and it goes back into the district where those persons are. So I was just trying to ask them to clear it, but they're waiting on sanitation. And I cautioned them about that too, because if it's your garbage, it is going to cause a disaster for you and not for sanitation.
Understood. Now, you're also going to be trying to get children involved in understanding what safety awareness is all about, Simon. What special are you bringing to them? Okay, it seems as though Simon's unstuck once more this morning. Maybe perhaps, Doril, you can tell me what is in store for our children when they attend?
Yes, the DEM, Department of Emergency Management, they will have a tent there especially for children because, with the COVID and stuff, we don't want them venture out to other tents where the adults are. But they can go because they will be there for your service. But Mr. Aline and Miss Michelle Barrow, they will be responsible for that tent. There's also a video on disasters and planning for children in that area. Right?
Okay. Now we also have Sabrina Howard, who's the new business development and marketing officer at Cooperators General Insurance. They're one of the companies on board, but they'll also be there to help us as homeowners understand what we need to do. Good morning to you, Sabrina.
Good morning, Wendy, and good morning to Barbados.
What are some of the things that we need to be aware of, and what knowledge will cooperators be imparting?
Okay, good. So as some of you may know, Cooperators General Insurance is very big on disaster preparedness. We are always at the forefront of risk reduction and trying to encourage persons to not only insure their properties, but to understand the importance of hazards. Most persons think that insurance is only necessary when a storm or a hurricane comes, which is fine, but losses occur outside of storms and hurricanes. There's loss due to fire, maybe burglary, something as simple as a burst pipe in your home. All of these things require you to have some sort of coverage, and Cooperators General Insurance is there to provide that coverage for you so you can be compensated in the event that something happens.
Okay, and what would you be telling us about on Saturday in terms of special services? Can people come down and expect any deals as we get into hurricane season?
Definitely, Wendy, definitely. So on the day, on Saturday, you can come on down. Our underwriters will be on hand to give you quotations. It's not only for property insurance, but it can be for your car as well. So all persons who sign up on the day, you will get $100 off if you enact a policy with us. That's right, $100 off your insurance if you take out a policy with us. We also have lots of giveaways on the day. We have a dip and win. So you're guaranteed that when you come to our booth, you will leave with something.
Now, the question I want to ask you quickly before we have to wrap up, do you offer flood insurance?
We don't offer flood insurance as a package alone, but you can have it and it'll be already in one of our packages. So it'll be come under either your fire insurance or the comprehensive property insurance.
Okay, so at least we know there's coverage in that area should anything happen with our home or vehicle during the season. Now, Doril, what else can we expect when we come to Deacon's Hard Court on Saturday, and how long are we going to be there for?
Right. Since we last spoke, we have a number of persons that came on board, and I'm so excited about that. One of the groups that is on board is the phlebotomy resource, and the students there will be doing their pressure checks, the blood sugar checks. Right.
Okay.
So along with them, we have the Heart and Stroke Foundation. As we have, we know that they're the police and everybody else. So I'm looking forward to an exciting time on Saturday.
What time do we start and what time do we end quickly?
We start at 10 and we finish at 2.
Okay, so there you are, St. Michael Northwest District Emergency Organization with their Safety Awareness Day telling you all you need to know. I want to thank all three of you for joining me this morning. Doriel Gill-Skinner, who's the chairperson, Sabrina Howard, who's with Cooperators General Insurance, and Simon Allen, who is with the DEO as well as a specialist in this area. Want to thank you again and have a great morning.
Thank you, and the same to you.
Thank you so much. We'll take a break, and when we return, we'll tell you all about the IRIS project.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And a good morning it is indeed. If you're now joining us, well, we're happy to have you here this morning. Now, this morning, we're going to look at the IRIS project. We told you a bit about it a few months ago, and the deadline is actually drawing close. So to tell us all about that and how our young people can get involved, is Shay Greenwich, the Executive Director of the Barbados Environmental Conservation Trust, and Ezekiel Nyanfor, who's the Global Advisor of the project. Good morning to you both.
Good morning. It's so great to be here. Thank you for having us on the show, Wendy.
Yes, always a pleasure to have our young people who are helping the environment in so many ways. Now, if you don't mind, Shay, I just want to go to Ezekiel first and to find out from him as the global advisor, how have things been going so far, Ezekiel?
Yeah, good morning, Barbados. I'm so happy to be on this platform. I'm joining you from Ghana, but I'm from Liberia, West Africa. So the IRIS project has been an amazing time with us across the world. We have been doing individual engagement in our countries. Before traveling to Ghana, I had an outreach in my country with 3 different universities: the University of Liberia, the Stella Marie Polytechnic University, and that of the AMEU University, with students, environmental students, and they are excited about this project and how to apply. And I think we still have more to do than just giving young people funding. I think capacity building is one of the major challenges that I've found out through my engagement.
Okay, so tell me, Shay, how have you been able to deal with that capacity building as we urge these young people to apply for this funding?
The IRIS project is structured is so much more than just giving grant funds. It's seed funding for your ideas or for your small project or established project. People such as Ezekiel and Alana, who we had the last time on the show, they are so important for our capacity building. They're going to be actually doing peer-to-peer mentorship as well for different persons who win the prizes. Ezekiel could tell you a little bit more about that because it's that engagement, is that communication among the young people, making sure that when they get their grant funding, that they're also going to be utilizing and spending the money right. So we're really happy to be able to bring the IRIS project to Barbados to give young Barbadians who are passionate about the environment a chance to become involved.
How do they get the application again? Where do we log on?
So you just have to visit the irisproject.org, go on the website, or you could go on the Barbados Environmental Conservation Trust website, and we will direct you there to all the appropriate links. Now, as you rightly said at the start of this interview, Wendy, the deadline is soon. The deadline is coming up June 14th. And so we're here this morning to remind young people between the ages of 14 and 24, if you are passionate about the environment, if you, just as our previous interviewer on the show said, you want to help clean up your community to reduce that disaster risk, you can have a project to help the vulnerable and the disabled in your community. It could be something as simple as that, cleaning up to make sure that we have proper disaster risk management in our communities, because it's our garbage and we need to take care of that issue. Any idea that you have, it could be a small project, it could be a project that has not yet started, but you have a group of friends and you're passionate about this, go apply on the irisproject.org website, and you have the possibility of winning either a $5,000 US grant or a $10,000 US grant or a $15,000 US grant. I really want to encourage young Barbadians to really maximize this opportunity that BECT is so happy to present to Barbados, as we have just become a nominating partner with the IRIS project. We're so happy that IRIS's parents are, so eager to honor her memory. I never got to meet Iris. I've only ever seen videos of Iris before she tragically passed at the young age of 15 years. But she was so passionate. She was an environmentalist at the core. And we are truly honored to be able to have this memory of her and to share it with other young people, not only in Barbados, but across the world.
Ezekiel is over there doing as well. So Ezekiel, what are the entries looking like so far? Do we have a lot of the nations involved coming on board?
Yeah, the process is not only about quantity, quality. So we are looking for the quality of the young people, not just the numbers of applications. But so far we have enough people applying for this grant, and I think when it comes to the quality, we have students, especially environmental students, activists, and young people from across the world, different countries, are putting in for this opportunity, because we understand that many young people don't have access to funds. So when they see such an opportunity, you have a huge flow of young people coming in. The application is going well,
okay.
But who haven't yet applied, take advantage of this on now to the 14th of June.
Good. So until the 14th of June, folks, that's the time you have. We want to thank Shay Greenwich and Ezekiel Nayan for who's joined us from across the oceans, because that's what this project is about, pulling young people from across the globe together in the memory of a young environmentalist, but encouraging them to do projects to help their communities and the globe as a whole. I want to thank you for joining me this morning, and have a happy Wednesday.
Same to you. Take care.
Thanks.
Now, we're going across the year. It's moving quickly. This is the month of May, but we are already preparing for the Spirit of the Nation show, and we're starting out with our parish independence communities. They are working, and they're working hard. We'll be telling you what the St. Philip one is going to be up to as they go through the year. There are a lot of things that they're looking to launch, and they are going to be talking to us about that. They're going to be doing an indigenous sport, road tennis. Yes, they're going to be mounting an actual tournament. So I want to introduce Mr. Brian Paris, who's on the committee, as well as Atoya Hines, both committee members of the St. Philip Parish Independence. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning, Wendy.
Yes, good morning to you both. Now, tell me about this project. You're launching the road tennis tournament, but your project says the parish where one family lives. Is that really what St. Philip is about, one family?
It is.
Yes, I see you in your purple. I'm in mine too, or close enough.
Close enough.
Well, Wendy,
Close enough.
Wendy,
Yes,
what
Brian.
I want to tell you is that this whole COVID pandemic that we've experienced really impacted us a great way. Would you agree?
Yes, it has.
Yeah, and the whole concept of social distancing, this would have been an oxymoron back in the day. Now we're experts at it. Like, I'm looking at you right now, and I can tell that you're at least 6 feet away from the camera. So you're actually adhering to protocol. Me, on the other hand, now, I think I'm in breach of COVID protocol. And when we look at this whole cohesiveness that we once had as Philippines and as Bajans, we see that that warmth that we used to share back in the day is now separated with 3 feet or 6 feet of cold drafts of wind, as persons aren't getting along with one another. So our parish project seeks to promote greater community involvement, engagement, and we're trying to get the young people out there and to develop talents. So yes, we do want to promote that family feel within St.
Because,
Philip.
you know, St. Philip thinks it's not only because it's the biggest parish, St. Philip thinks it's all of Barbados. Now, I might be a Philippine too, but you all have this sense of bigness. Isn't that true, Atoya?
Absolutely, and that is why we are encouraging you, all Philippines, near and far, to join us as we seek to launch our project.
Okay, tell me about the tournament. When is it starting? Do I have to pay to be a part of it? How is it running?
So Wendy, it's June.
Go ahead, Brian.
It's June. Sorry. It's June the 5th, and June 5th would be our exhibition. We want to showcase that St. Philip is actually hosting road tennis tournament. We all know the origins of it is based in town, but we want to show the rest of Barbados that, yeah, we're going to get in on this do with road tennis, and we'll show persons how we do it as Philippines. So that's kicking off on the 5th of June, where we're going to put on an exhibition. We want persons to come out so that they can register their teams. And when we're looking at the registration, we're going to the JB Simpson Complex, which is at Emerald City. And we want women and children to come out, because it's not only about the guys playing the sport. We want the children and the women to actually participate as well.
Okay. Atoya, I understand that you're also going to be having some clinics on as well as a talent show. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so as Brian would have rightfully said, COVID has changed everyone's life, and we are not looking at only the fun aspect, but we recognize that persons need to be molded. We need to give back to our community in terms of education, helping them develop who wants to go to have a job, their entrepreneurship skills, leaving footprints within St. Philip as well. And to that end, we are hosting a resume clinic on June 18th from 9 until 1 p.m. We ask persons to register. We have our email address available for persons to contact us. They can even contact myself, Atoya Hines, at 234-7275 to register for the resume clinic. Will be held at the Princess Margaret Secondary School. We will also have other entrepreneurs present, showcasing different classes, because we want to develop the entrepreneurs within our community as well. So we are looking for facilitators who may be gifted in craft making, whether you make soaps, whether you make jewelry, whether you make creams, cut hair, whatever your skill is. We are looking for you to help mold our community. We are also seeking to have a cooking clinic as well. So we're looking for persons to actually come on board, again, to offer your skill to help show our next generation, future and present and present generation, how to cook, right? St. Philip have a wealth of talent, and we are calling you all to join us as we mold our community. We are having our talent show. If you are familiar with these the Parish Independence Committee, you know that we have our talent show going annually, and we are openly accepting persons who can sing, who can read poetry, who can dance. We are looking for you. So the deadline to register for our talent show will be June, I would say around June 25th.
Yeah.
Because we want to, when I'm playing with that day, because we also have a workshop for that day. We are offering workshops to help develop you. We don't want to just bring you on board and not help develop your skill or your talent. So we have workshops on June 25th as well as July 2nd to prepare you for the final talent show. The grand rehearsal will be July 9th, and the actual talent show will be on July 10th.
Okay.
Right? So
and that's when
all Philippines.
And suppose I decide that when I see you on the 9th, I don't like the talent that you're putting forward for St. Philip to the Spirit of the Nation. What's going to happen then?
Well, we have a panel of judges. Like I said, we have a workshop. So you're not waiting until you get in front of the judges on July 10th to make that one decision. We are committed to working with you along every step of the way, because we want the best from St. Philip, and that is what we are seeking to harness as we prepare for the final in November.
Yes, and we're looking forward to it. St. Philip, a big parish, people with a big heart, and that's why it's called the parish where one family lives. I want to wish both of you well as you go forward. As the committee members, it's always a big job planning and getting your ambassadors ready for this event. Yes, Brian, you wanted to tell me something quickly.
So, Wendy, are you a Philippine or are you a Kamya?
I'm a Kamya.
Okay, well, we're glad to have you anyway. So it's blessed to have you as one of us.
Before we go,
yes.
Sorry,
So
before we go, I just want to
yes, quickly
share Brian's contact number with you as well in the event that anyone listening want to be in contact with us. Brian's contact number is 251-1226. If you want to participate in the talent show,
or the road tennis.
Mornin St. Philip, the road tennis. We are actually having rules as well going out. We have 7 schools in St. Philip, and we want you to leave your footprints in St. Philip. We are starting it, but we are passing the baton. We believe in succession planning, so we are passing the baton. So if you want to contact us, Brian's number is 251-1226. My telephone number is 234-7274.
Thank you both, Brian Paris and Atoya Hines, St. Philip Parish Independence Committee. Well, we've come to the end of our show. Here's wishing you a wonderful Wednesday. And remember, go on down to the Golden Square Freedom Park to be part of that African fashion show. It's going to be great. Have a good day. I'm Wendy Bird.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you.